What's up, YouTube? First of all, I want to give a big thanks to Glazer of Snap Judgments. Just a huge shout out for featuring me in one of his videos last week. It's very exciting to see all the comments and new subscribers. If you're new here, I'm new too, so thanks for stopping by. If you'd like to like and subscribe the video, all that YouTube stuff, that'd be a big help in helping the channel grow. Love to do more stuff on here. I'd love to do a giveaway of a gold pass if we reach 500 subscribers. So also, I pretty much respond to every comment, at least right now. So please feel free to give your thoughts down below, comment about the deck, about anything you'd like to see on the channel going forward, and be happy to interact with you. So this channel will be mostly going over fun decks that I like to play at a decently high level. I've made Infinite every season since February of 2023. And last season, I peaked the highest I have yet so far at about 1,500 Infinite. Almost got to top 1,000. And that's my goal for the coming season. So we'll see. The difficulty is that I do not play meta decks pretty much at all. I get bored playing them. I hate playing the decks that I see everybody else playing. So I'm really, in old Magic the Gathering terms, a Johnny. I like combo decks. I like to play decks with bad cards to make them work. Bad in quotation marks. Some of these cards are way better than perceived. But yeah, to manage expectations, I'm not KM Best, I'm not Glazer, I'm not going to be going over top decks on this channel, but these are decks that are a blast to play, and if you take the time to learn them, they can even get you to Infinite, which I'm proof of. I basically use these to get to Infinite every season. So that brings us to today's deck. This is an evolution on a deck that I played a lot several seasons ago called Everlasting Arms, which is a Miss Marvel combo deck. It's a deck that essentially tried to pull off a combo every time, had some other synergies, but I'll show you a visual of what the core combo was. First, you spend your early turns playing out cards to the side lanes. 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost. One of those should be Magik, ideally. You'd have to be careful not to double up on the same cost, though, to keep Miss Marvel's ability active. Then on turn 6, you'd play Onslaught in the middle lane, and on turn 7, you play Mystique and Miss Marvel in that order. By doing this, you get 2 Onslaught effects on the Miss Marvel, which, through the power of math, adds 30 additional power to your left and right lanes. It was a super fun deck, and I was fortunate enough that some community members picked it up and enjoyed it as well. It did have, of course, a few problems, as most fun and non-meta decks do. It's very susceptible to tech cards like Red Guardian, Rogue Enchantress, of course, Scream decks, Junk, Mill, Magneto in any deck. Kind of a nightmare. And one of the biggest problems of all was Miss Marvel herself, being essentially a glass cannon type of deck. She could get stranded, not show up, or her lane restriction could come back to bite you with something like Savage Lands or Squirrels, throwing off your 1-drops you've already played. So that brings us to this new version of the deck, which I'm affectionately titling 4 Everlasting Arms. The 2 big additions here are Moonstone and the revamped, buffed Mr. Fantastic. Moonstone exponentially ramps up the power output in the combo, and Mr. Fantastic is a fantastic way to add another win condition in case Miss Marvel gets disrupted or never shows up at all. So the core combo in this new version looks like this. You still set up on the side lanes to keep your middle clear and also prepare for a possible Miss Marvel combo, but now on turn 4 or 5, you're trying to get Moonstone in the middle lane if you can. Then you follow up with Onslaught on turn 6, and turn 7 is Mystique and your choice of Miss Marvel or Mr. Fantastic. Instead of 30 power added to the left and right lanes, adding in Moonstone brings the result to 90 or 100 more power depending on who you played. Naturally, still plenty of counters from your opponent. Enchantress, Rogue, Goliath, Cosmo, most of these are an instant loss. But in the right meta, and in games where your opponent thinks that their 20 or 30 power lane is enough, even 40, 50, you just soar so far above them, and it's ludicrously fun when you pull it off. So that's the plan. You play smart into the locations you get, you set up for the combo, and when you get disrupted, you retreat. Think of it like a Mr. Negative deck. When you're going to hit it, you're really going to hit it, but when you don't, get out of there. You do have a tiny bit of flexibility, I would say more than Mr. Negative, but I'll go over that in the card by card. So let's take a look at each card, and I'll give a little explanation. Spider-Ham, it's important to have some cards of each cost to help with early turn plays and to keep Miss Marvel as a possible win condition. So you need some 1s, some 2s, some 3s, so on. Spider-Ham is one of my favorite early plays in a deck like this because you need a 1-drop anyway, and this gives you, every now and then, an instant win. You hit their main win condition or something that really disrupts them, and you can just get early retreats that way. So I like it in this spot. Howard the Duck, I've said it before for the previous version of the deck, but I think this is the best home for Howard that I've played. Like I said, we need 1-drops, and Howard enables you to pivot out of bad draws or locations with the Peek Ahead and Iron Lad. Iron Lad into Iron Man is also a way to know that you could win without the combo, because it's just so much power, especially if you then hit Mystique or anything like that. Secondly, Howard is a way to know late in the game if you're going to hit your combo and helps you with your snapping and cube equity. If you can see on turn 6, 5, or 6 that you're not going to hit it, just get out of there. Then we have Ravonna Renslayer. 2-drop, and it's crucial for games where you don't draw Magik. It allows you to then play out Iron Man and Mystique on turn 6, and sometimes that's enough. Also has the bonus of reducing Mr. Fantastic to a 2-drop. Jeff, I've tried other things in this slot, but at the end of the day, I keep coming back to the Baby Landshark. He's not played as much now as he used to be. He was the default 2-drop for a long time, but he's such a boon to this deck where positioning matters. Being able to play him early to fulfill your early game and then move him to either side where you need the Miss Marvel active is awesome. And of course, Jeff can just cheese out some wins in locations like Sanctum Sanctorum or other places that no card dares go. So I do like Jeff here. Mystique, not too much to say here. It's just one of the core combo pieces. It's obviously nuts with Onslaught and Moonstone. It works with Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Miss Marvel, Ravonna, just nothing to say. Mystique is the ongoing enabler. Mr. Fantastic, this is great diversification of your win condition. It's why Glazer suggested that I make some changes to this deck a while ago. Super valuable for allowing wins in closed off locations when you don't get your combo, and enables the highest endgame output in the big combo due to synergy with Moonstone. The buff has been very kind to Reed Richards. Magik is in a great spot right now. Snow Guard is barely played. Nobody plays Scarlet Witch. And Legion's basically only played in Airshim decks. So usually when I pull off the Magik, Limbo isn't touched. And that's very vital, obviously, to the main combo in this deck, where you need to play Onslaught on turn 6 and then follow up on turn 7. Miss Marvel, the reason that the original deck existed. Definitely in a tougher spot in this meta as a whole, but at least she did get the 1-point power buff. And heck, I didn't make this deck originally without her, and you need that possible win con at the end if you don't see Mr. Fantastic. So there you go. Iron Lad, card that isn't seen as often these days, but essentially it's a card draw in this deck, and in a combo deck that's huge. Can dig you one card down on turn 7 into a combo win. Amazing with Howard when you see Iron Man off the top as well. They used to have a Professor X in this deck too, and that would be crazy with Iron Lad, but anything that lets me play Howard, I'm a fan of. Moonstone takes the power output from what was the 30s up into over 100 in 2 lanes. Some people call it a win more card, but sometimes these Doom That 2099 decks and like Move Bounce can easily get their lanes way above 30. So Moonstone generates more power than basically any deck at its ceiling other than Living Tribunal or Mr. Negative. Plus it has other smaller synergies like Ravonna, and I just think Moonstone is a really worthy addition to this deck. Iron Man helps take the deck higher in edge cases. You can get a 200 power lane with Iron Man. It's great in the event also that your combo gets disrupted. Awesome with Iron Lad. And it plays a pretty cool role in the original Miss Marvel combo. If you fear Red Guardian and you think you're going to be going just Onslaught into Mystique into Miss Marvel, you can play Iron Man on turn 5, and that can sometimes bait out Red Guardian or Rogue or Enchantress, and you don't need Iron Man. It's just a way to sometimes go over the top, so you're always happy if they hit your Iron Man. And then finally, Onslaught. It's the engine that makes the combo go, and pretty much self-explanatory. One other note is that sometimes, depending on the matchup, you might want to play Iron Lad early into Onslaught if you see it on Howard. Just depends on the game state. It can be the correct play to get multiple Onslaughts out there, especially like with the Nexus. You might want to Iron Lad on that lane, and then Mystique, and then Onslaught, Iron Man, and yeah, there are some times when you want to do that. So immediately seeing this is a Sam Wilson deck, which is usually a good matchup. Their high end is not as high as our high end, unless they're playing Super Skrull, and then things can be dicey. Attempting to keep Vormir open for the 4-card combo, and helps us out with armor. That way we don't have to sacrifice anything. Gonna play Jeff on the right to hopefully get an Yggdrasil hit, which does not happen. So now we're just gonna hope to get Mystique or Iron Lad copying Mystique, and the full combo's in hand. Next turn will be Onslaught, and then hopefully we finish it off with Mystique and Mr. Fantastic. There is a Super Skrull, but fortunately it's in the right lane. There's an Iron Lad. That's really where Iron Lad is so great in this deck, is basically a second copy of your combo piece that you need. Final turn, there's Mystique. So Iron Lad, Mr. Fantastic. And this should be really big left and right lanes. And there it is. I kept this game in as an example when I talked about Spider-Ham sometimes just winning the game. Sometimes you hit Mr. Negative turn 1 and your opponent just retreats. A little bit of extra cube equity, which helps when you have a super heavy combo deck. So as normal, we play our 1-drops on the left or right if we can. When I see something like Dark Dimension, I know that I'm going to try to play for priority where possible to avoid Alioth knocking out our whole combo. Cosmo on the right is fantastic. So in this case, feel pretty safe putting Mr. Fantastic in the middle and making sure we have correct costs if we need to use Miss Marvel in the middle. Hitting Arrow's gigantic, one of the big disruptors against this deck. There comes the final combo piece. So Moonstone goes in the middle. Next turn's Onslaught. Turn 7. We should be able to just finish it up with the Mystique.
That's what can talk about.
They do have priority, so Goliath is always a worry. But in this case, it's just straight Surtur deck power, which we easily go over the top. Not much to do here, just develop our left and right locations. Super Skrull in the middle is always terrifying. The good news is Super Skrull or Iron Lad can mess up Moonstone when they steal it from our side, because it is a 4 cost and not a 3 cost. So usually if we get full combo, we can still have more power than a deck running Super Skrull. And fortunately, we have full combo in hand. And even with the Super Skrulls, there's just no match for the top end of this combo. First time playing with some of the new character mastery cards. I'd like to do a video showing some of my favorite combinations from the new splits. Let me know if you'd be interested in that.
Yes.
So Hellcow tells me this is most likely Hela of some sort. So X-Mansion means something's gonna be clogging a spot in the middle, which limits our damage output.
The same.
So seeing Arrow get discarded means that we're probably going to want to fill up lanes as much as possible to avoid things being shifted around after the Hela brings it back. Still no Onslaught or Iron Lad. But 3 cards left in deck, so decent chance of hitting. Multiple different ways to go here. Miss Marvel is still active, even with Mr. Fantastic on the left. And fortunately, Howard will show us if Onslaught is going to be our next card after this draw. And it is. So this should add 30 additional power to the left and right lanes, and on the right it's going to be doubled because of Iron Man. Oh, Magneto. There's an arrow, but we filled up a lane. That's a good win. This is one of our final 2 games before Infinite Final Boss. My initial thought was that this was obviously bounce, move, bounce, some type of move. And then Black Swan immediately started me thinking this might be that Brood Symbiote Spider-Man combo deck that Glazer talked about splat playing the other day with War Machine and the Infinite. Double Magics. The full combo already in hand. And the Symbiote Spider-Man confirmed that this is that deck, which I don't think plays tech or can compete with 100 power on either lane. So at this point, I was just hoping that they stayed in the game long enough for me to get some cubes. Anticipating a Brood on the left. And just setting up for the Mystique Mr. Fantastic on turn 7. And if they had it, this is where they would play Brood, activate Aranya, and then activate Symbiote Spider-Man, which is a lot of power. But we just have more power. Seeing Meek means discard. Camartage they love. Fortunately, pretty much the only thing most discard decks run that can hurt us is that Gambit that we just copied. So when I play discard, I'm going to try to not play any of my combo pieces until as late as possible and hope they play Gambit on curve or early in the game. And in this case, do not play Gambit yet. Get the double dock in. Definitely go Magik over Moonstone here, because we don't care about any of this board getting blown up. And there is the Gambit. Takes out our duck. Takes out our pig. There's our Iron Man copy. Now with Gambit out of the way, we can put Moonstone down in the middle. And at this point, I'm just hoping that we see Onslaught off the Iron Lad. And a super lucky pull. And now I don't know of anything that discard runs that would mess this up. So we're shaking and a little excited over here. Unfortunately, they stay in the game. Why not fast forward to infinite? And there it is. Little ongoing combo deck, got us to infinite. We made the switch after not seeing a lot of tech against it this season. And we got up to 3,097. So we'll see how far we can take it. But thanks for watching. Here are the stats from our climb just on PC. We played a lot on mobile as well. And honestly, we crushed on mobile. Went up like 5 ranks just alone today on the phone. So really decent win rate. And of course, you know, it's pre-infinite. But I did see no bots in the 90s at all and maybe 2 bots in the 80s. So it is a deck that you can have success with. It's fun. It's not going to break the meta. But you can put up a ton of power and have an amazing time. So thanks everybody for watching. Come check me out whenever I do anything else on here. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, whatever. Thanks again. Later.